Hi there, this is Phil Pendlebury. I'm going to show you through a short cue I've made and break it down, give you a little bit more detailed info. Before I do start, a couple of people asked after I did the last video about the machine that I'm using. It's a self-built i7, Windows 8. I'm running Cubase 7 and everything is in 64-bit. Don't use any 32-bit plugins whatsoever. If you want some more info about that, then I can put the link in the video afterwards. Anyway, so let's have a quick listen to this. This is called The Mystery of 7/8, and as you can guess, it's in 7/8 timing. Here we go. Okay, so there you have it, The Mystery of 7/8, and it was more of an experiment again, really, but I think the overall result's quite nice, quite interesting. So how did this come together? And also, of course, you're probably more interested in what sounds are used and so on. As I said earlier, it's the majority of it is Spitfire's main Albion 1, which is just marvellous for big groups of things. There's no solo instruments as such, and I've got a snare there from the Contact Factory library. So 7/8 was the first part of this. I decided I wanted to do something in 7/8. It's a signature I used to use a lot with the rock music and so on. So I thought, right, I've got this little idea for a little 7/8 riff. You can see that that's all quantized, and I'm using my own patch from Albion here, which is the low strings, but I've taken out a couple of the round robins. If you don't know what round robins are, well, it's basically if you're playing the same note multiple times, you will get a different sample each time you press the key. It makes it sound much more realistic. But I found with the factory strings low short octave, which is what I'm using here, there were some timing discrepancies, so if you have a quick listen you'll see what I mean. Now you can see that they're perfectly quantized. If I put it into 16 triplets there, you can see they're perfectly quantized, but there's definitely, you can hear there, and there, and so on throughout the track. Often that would be quite realistic, but in this case it was really bothering me. So what I've done is I've made my own little patch which doesn't include those round robins. It's a shame because you lose some of the realism, but at least the timing is a little bit more accurate. So that was basically the starting riff. And that's, as I said, the low shorts octave from Albion. Added on top of that was a medium, which is actually the same patch. And it just plays the same note, and it really adds to the tension. You'll notice as well throughout this that there's a lot of playing with dynamics as usual. With these being short notes, you can see that the dynamics I've used are all done with velocities. So this is the breakdown. Unlike some of the other patches, the mod wheel doesn't have any effect on those. So I've got my three little ostinato parts that have all kind of built up. I was playing a fifth above, I think. So that was that, and what I did was I basically just built that up over a very short section, one kind of 4-bar pattern, 4 bars of 7/8 around, and just cycled that around and around and around, and I didn't lay out the arrangement till afterwards. There we have the kind of main bulk. Then I've got a high string, which is again part of the Albion setup. Let's get rid of those, you can hear the high string. And that's a legato. You can see there that the notes are overlaid, and that's so you get the nice legato transitions. This dynamics here is a mod wheel, so you can hear it get louder. Yeah, so that is the normal legato articulation, and I've got all 4 mics on there as well. So that again adds to a little bit more of that tension, and it comes in and out with the riff. Same thing, we've got another low here, which I'll add in. And this is again, this is the legato low articulation. Okay, so that's the sort of meat and potatoes, as it were, of the string section. I then decided I wanted a little theme of some kind, and I've actually got 2 themes in this. One of them comes in the big medium brass part at the end, and then there's the main kind of high woodwind part. So let's have a quick listen to that, and you can see how it's done. Very simple. And that's, again, it's a legato high wood patch. There's no need to show you it because that's exactly what it sounds like. I've taken a little bit of the bottom end off because there's a sort of bottom endy boom that seems to come from that particular sound. And underneath that I've got a low wood. Here we are. check out these dynamics again, very important, and notice that the notes are overlapping so that you get that legato. Lovely. So that was that. So I had that kind of thing going round, and then I thought, right, okay, so we're going to drop down. That's nice, because it's always nice to show off the dynamics of these orchestral patches, and Spitfire Albion does it so well. So then I need to come crashing in. So I've added in a couple more parts, and it's probably a little bit unconventional. And you can hear that they're not particularly tightly played. And so, okay, and then we've got the high brass, which is again the standard high brass sound, short. And you can hear again that there's some discrepancies, even though these are quantized. They're not quite playing exactly as they would if they were quantized, which when it's out on its own, like the low ostinato part was, that's a little bit annoying, but in this case it's not so bad because it's covered up by everything else. So we've got that, and then we've got the low brass, which is here. Massive, and they sound great. Again, the same high wood theme which goes along with the main theme, which I'll play you now. That's the medium brass theme. Again, a lovely anthemic sound, and that is again very easy to get with Spitfire Albion because it's just one of the built-in. It's the mid brass, and it's the legato. I've got all four mics on again there, so it's got a real load of ambience behind it. So yeah, the big build-up at the end. There's some standard percussion here, which I'll show you. Lovely. Some cymbals, and then the snare comes from the factory, Contact Factory Sounds. There's probably lots of better snares around, but as usual I was in a real hurry when I did this, so, and it does the job nicely. So we get to the end. Before we go back to the very beginning, we get to the end, and this is something I particularly liked with this track. It's kind of one of those effects that you hear a lot. Let's just quickly listen. And how that came about was very simple. I told you earlier I was looping around and building the whole thing up, and that's how it ended, like that. Before going back to the beginning of the loop, and I thought, wow, that sounds great. How about we put a little pause in and a little one of these, and then put the last chord on at the end. So I played that in myself. You could probably find a better timpani roll than that, but again, me being in a hurry, I decided to just do it manually. You'll notice when I played that back there, by the way, that a couple of the sounds didn't work quite right. The high brass there, I've got a key switch to make sure it plays the shorts, and then there's a key switch at the end for the very last long notes. And and then another key switch here to change it back to the short note again. Again, that's all basic stuff. Having said that, if anybody wants more info on that kind of thing, please, let me know in the comments. Okay, so that's the end. Now back to the beginning. So always nice to have a little quiet intro before something like that kicks off. So basically what I did is I took my theme from the middle and put it at the beginning. And a little bit of juggling around with velocities, and in this case this is the mod wheel, as you can see. Again, it gives you those lovely dynamics and notes overlapping so that you get the legato effect in this part. So that's basically it. It's pretty much using all the factory settings from Albion. Most of them have got as much ambience going on as possible. There's one or two where I've taken off some of the distant mics so that you get that more in your face kind of sound. And the only other thing really would be to have a quick look at the mixer settings. There's the main strings. You can see I've taken out a little bit around about 120 Hz. I always find that that tends to build up once you layer them up. The brass, well, I didn't bother with that, just wanted them to be big. And the woodwind, as I said earlier, got rid of all that bottom end that seems to rumble around. I've got a UAD Dream Verb, which is on a Hall large symphony, and that's just adding a little bit of extra ambience. There's the percussion, absolutely flat. And again, my Dream Verb. These are groups, and of course the main channels are all there. And because I was in a rush as usual, I didn't really bother labelling things up. Bearing in mind that this has to be delivered as stems, so there's no send effects in use at all. So this is why there's a separate instance of reverb on each one. So particularly like this build-up. And I particularly liked the ending on this. It's something I'll have to remember and probably use again and improve on. Okay, so there we go. So if you feel that I've gone into too much detail, or indeed not enough detail in some of the places, please let me know, and next time I'll try and make it a little bit better. So yeah, drop me a comment, drop me a line, and hope to catch you soon.